What is going on, YouTubers? Welcome to another video. So I have a crazy new plan for the collection, as I always do, revolving selling some statues, buying some statues, and a little bit of rearranging. The idea is to expand on my Terminator setup instead of just having this little corner the way it is. We completely remove everything here. We return a garage shelf there. And that garage shelf that would go where the endo bust is would be dedicated for AVP, so I have space for, Queen alien bust, as well as anything additional below. In that back corner, I can do whatever I want. If I want to return Pennywise and none on her chair, I could. Or I could technically do Red Sona, Vampirella, and Chucky underneath. There's definitely some options. Now, I definitely like Pennywise here. Although standing up, I can't see it quite as good, but sitting down where I am most of the day, I can see it really good. But there's definitely some options for that corner, So I also, what we had figured out. Anyways, Busta. The idea is to not have a mid-room shelf for Queen Alien. Instead, it's over there. And we expand on Terminator a ton. So right now, this is what I got, which I'm not 100% happy with this. I want more. I just watched all 5 movies. I freaking love Terminator. I love their statues. I think they're amazing. It's super nostalgic for me, and I want more for sure. And I was coming up with the ultimate Terminator setup in my mind. And I wanted to show this to you guys because I think this is the ultimate setup. Having a life-size endo and then 4 separate 1/3 and bust setups. And, ideally this would be the perfect layout. I can't do this exact layout, but I can do something pretty darn close. This is a custom Sarah Connor bust. All 3 dark sides with Cinemacat Terminator. You got the 2 different posters with the 2 pure arts, and you do liquid metal T1000 since you already got the bust right there. So this would be ultimate for me. But this requires basically 3 of those garage shelves to do it that way. And the only place I could potentially even do something like that would be here on the horror wall, which I'm not touching that because it's my favorite wall. So I've, decided to come up with some alternatives. I wanted to show this to you guys. So in essence, we would move my Godzilla vs. Kong setup, and I'll show you where later. But kind of like this. So although thinking more on it, I do think I would prefer the endoskeleton on the left side and this right there, instead of having it in the middle as such. So I think I would prefer that. But the idea is basically from Alita to the left would all be Terminator. So, here's another just random potential idea, but not going to happen. I'm not doing Old Man Arnie. Now, I do like Dark Fate. I think it's a great movie. I think the story is kind of crap, but the action is top freaking notch. And here is how it would look with Arnold. So this is how I think it would look best. So basically we get a smaller garage shelf like that right there. Although ideally I'd like to make it 24 inches deep, so I'll figure out a way to do that. So we could do Arnold bust, T1000 bust, with their 1/3 underneath, and possibly even just do Sarah Connor right there, so all 3 dark sides are in a row, and then do bust 1/3. So both the bust are in pairs, the 1/3 are in pairs more or less. Life-size endo would go right there. Now, because of this slightly shorter ceiling, I would not be able to do an arm up like that, although maybe. Because it is quite forward, I might be able to pull it off. I would have to test it out. If not, I would just have the arms forward, and I'd remove this, coffee table, and I'd have the arms forward, which does require 50 inches of depth. But once I remove this, I would obviously have that 50 inches. So definitely would not be able to do this exact pose. And I wouldn't be able to do a poster behind it. Instead, I'd do the poster likely behind those 2. And in this scenario, there's no space for any of the pure arts, but I don't think they're an absolute necessity. They were kind of just like extras that made that ultimate wall look really good. But I think this is the next best possible setup for me. If I want to have really more or less the ultimate T1, T2 Arnold, because this represents T1, Sarah versus the endo, and then this is T2. So that would definitely be freaking amazing. Now, in order to do this, we have to obviously sell some statues to help fund this, as well as move some statues. So, one thing we have to do is we have to move all of Godzilla and Kong to the Lord of the Rings room. And we're going to move Warcraft back to its original spot, sell all statues in the Warcraft spot, and figure out Uncharted. That's a future Flankster problem. We still don't even know if we're getting The Last of Us. So let's just assume only Uncharted. I can figure that out when I get it. But more or less, this is how we do Godzilla vs. Kong. So these two garage shelves, which are right now Lord of the Rings, would be dedicated to Godzilla vs. Kong. I personally think this looks better than my current, vision. It's more spacious. I could have Godzilla vs. Kong top shelf, and have a poster behind it, similar to King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah's poster would also be raised because it's a taller ceiling. So that would be really nice. And then you would have more space to do Kong bus with Kong vs. Skullcrow, because right now we only have that little one, which is definitely not going to be spacious enough. And beneath you would just do Godzilla bus with Mecha. So in this scenario, Mecha goes with Godzilla bust, but Kong versus Godzilla goes top shelf next to King Ghidorah, which I think personally would be freaking amazing. So, so far we're looking at this plan. Pro, we're going to be able to have space right here for Queen Alien, and more horse space in general. 2, we're going to get more Terminator statues. We're going to get Sarah Connor. We're going to have space to keep the Endo bust and get Endo 1/3 by Cinemaquette or a future Endo 1/3. So, and I also think the life-size Endo would look less out of place right there. Considering where it's at, I just think it'd be less, out of place. So it'd also be more visible for when I'm watching TV. I just see it to the left instead of right now I have to literally turn my head to see it. So I think that would also be really cool. Now, to do this, we do have to, we are going to sacrifice some Lord of the Rings space, because right now we have 3 garage shelves, and we're going to go down to 2.5 garage shelves. So this is one idea, more or less. So if I keep Lurt's bust, then you do Lurt's, Berserker, Sauron on between the 2 shelves. Like, remember that gap? His base is so big, he'd be able to go on both shelves on the Lazy Susan. So I'd actually just do him right in the middle of the gap, and then do, sort of like that. Morgulord with the 2 orcs beneath, Nazgul, Frodo, Gandalf, Saruman, the Trinity. And then right here's Fellbeast and Balrog. So those 2 go there. So, although doing this, let me show you. This right here is where I don't do a bust. So it's just all one force. And we'd just do Frodo with Saruman, Gandalf, like the 3, 3, and above 3 and 3, and everything sort of like matches. On each end, you got more or less like an Uruk-hai, then an Orc, and then a Nazgul, more or less, and then Sauron, and Balrog and Fellbeast. Now, I really like this. So the con of this is we are losing out on Lurt's bust and the Nazgul bust. Now, I do like the Nazgul bust quite a bit, but I don't think it's like mind-blowing. I mean, it's really, in all reality, it's just a black cloth being held up by a cool base that you can't actually see. Lurt's bust is amazing for sure. Silicone, massive, incredibly cool. So ideally, I would love to keep Lurt's bust, but we're also going to need to fund this project, which, T1000 bust alone on a good deal is going to cost me $5,000 to $6,000. Sarah Connor bust is $1,700. Sarah Connor 1/3 is $1,700. T1000 is $1,700. Cinemaquette, if I can get it, let's say this guy who I'm talking to is legit, another $1,700. So we're talking some big bucks. We definitely have to sell some stuff. So, in this scenario, we sell Lurt's bust. Let's just call it $2,500. That can help fund half of T1000. Then we'd have to, move Alita bust right there. Keep her, no Jon Snow in this scenario. And then ideally we just move Red Sonja and do Vampirello right there, and then probably just do Chucky underneath. I think that would go best. But so we go to the video game statue room, where we are going to definitely have to make a few sacrifices. So we would have to sell all of this, which you know, let's just say I got $5,000 for everything. Let's just say that random number in my head. But then we returned Warcraft here, which I did really like Warcraft here. I thought it looked fantastic. So, but it does also pose future problem for Uncharted and Last of Us. Again, future Flankster problems. We have 2+ years before that even remotely will occur. So, yeah, and then let's just say we sold that. We sold Lurt's Bust, and then Lord of the Rings is just all of this and that. We also don't have space for Bruce Lee anymore, although I could put him in the hallway, technically. The mini hallway to the bathroom. But I am liking this idea because I think Godzilla vs. Kong would go great right there. You know, plus it's now top shelf. And King Ghidorah would go fantastic right there with his poster, taller ceiling. And then, you know, just 2 garage shelves dedicated. And then right behind it is the dinosaur setup from Jurassic. So I do really like this idea. You know, I think there is way more pros than cons in this scenario. You know. So, I mean, I can always return horror to the way I had it before as well. You know, and plan to do like Leatherface, Ghostface, Chucky, return those 2 back there, him there. Or if I wanted to do the zombie bus by ECC, I could. You know, there's definitely lots of options in this scenario. But a huge pro is I would be able to put just, you know, Queen's big chat bust right over there. And have space beneath as well for something alien or predator themed. So, yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think this is a solid idea. Because I think Godzilla vs. Kong, granted, it's not going to be main room, but it is going to get a better overall layout. Terminator, we get more space. AVP gets more space. Horror gets more space. We just have to sacrifice a few statues. You know, I potentially could sell Red Sonja because that would help fund, let's say, $2,500 towards this project. But I really do love that statue. Even though I don't have a tie to the character per se, but they are making a new movie of Red Sonja, I saw. So the fact they're making a new movie, you know, and I'm sure it will probably be awesome. I'll be like, oh, that's awesome. And if it does well, they might do Vampirella movie, which I'm sure eventually we'll get. You know, and then I can have ties to the, you know, character to the movie, so I'll therefore enjoy the statues more and have better justification for having them in my collection. So I need to see how life-size Endo fits over here first. Other than that, you know, I think this is a solid plan. What do you guys think in the comments below? Let me know. Drop a comment. What do you think? What else do you think I should potentially sacrifice to help, you know, fund this and make this look really good? But I am digging it. I think it could work very well. Anyways, that's it for today's crazy idea video. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.